So, good evening, everyone, and welcome to this International Overdose Awareness Day event, sponsored by the BALM Training Institute for Family Recovery Services and Family Recovery for All. My name is Marissa Arber. I'm a certified BALM family life coach and faculty member of the BALM Training Institute and a family member in long-term recovery. Before we begin our program, could we please begin this evening with a moment of silence for all those lost their lives to overdose and the family members left behind? Thank you, everybody, for participating in that. This evening is designed to both remember those lost to overdose as well as provide the BALM solution-oriented focus for families still working to save their loved ones' lives. Each year, we provide the BALM's perspective and the ideas on the leading edge of family recovery for you in order to emphasize that recovery is possible, there is hope, and you, as the family member, can contribute to positive outcomes in your family. This is not a judgmental stance, as we do not provide guarantees or proven cures. There are none. Rather, it is about looking at what our struggling loved ones and our families are facing and bringing the evidence-based practices and other powerful tools available to you, to your attention, so that you can begin or continue the process of implementing loving, connected interactions with your loved one, your family, and yourself. At this point, may I introduce you to Beverly Buncher and Michael DeForbes for an opening conversation on our topic of the power of conversation to prevent and help your loved ones recover from overdose. Michael DeForbes, MFA, PCC, serves in three main capacities at the Institute. He is an in-house coach, a group coaching facilitator, and the lead 7 steps to BALM teacher. In these capacities, he touches the lives of hundreds of BALM families each year. He and Bev also co-facilitate the 7 steps to BALM retreats, one of which is coming up in October. Michael is a former associate professor of art at the University of Illinois, where he taught graphic design for 4 years, became licensed as an addictions counselor in the state of Rhode Island, where he served for 15 years in that capacity, specializing in opioid addiction and dependency. In 2013, he became a certified life coach through IPAC, and then a certified BALM family recovery coach through the BALM Training Institute for Family Recovery Life Coaching. In addition, his expertise in addiction, recovery, and family recovery. Mike specializes in guided meditations and mindfulness and is a person in long-term recovery. Beverly Buncher, MA-PCC, known as the foremost family recovery life coach in the nation, is the founder and CEO of Family Recovery Resources, LLC, and the BALM, Be a Loving Mirror, Training Institute for Family Recovery Coach Training and Family Recovery Services. The BALM program makes the concepts and tools of family recovery accessible to all whose lives are affected by a loved one's struggles with substance and other use disorders. Her book, BALM, The Loving Path to Family Recovery, tells her own family recovery story and gives family the skills to keep a loving connection alive while moving forward on their recovery journey. She is also the author of the forthcoming book, Transformation, the Family's Developmental Recovery Journey, numerous blogs and articles, and several workbooks and manuals for students of the BALM programs. Upcoming courses, programs based on her work include the BALM for individuals with SUD and Raising a BALM Family. This evening is both solemn and for our families filled with hope to bring new families who are new to BALM up to speed with a brief PowerPoint presentation.
Take a look at this picture. When our hearts break open, we truly have the opportunity to fly and to soar. It doesn't seem that way when in the middle of the pain, but the process of recovery is one of hope and joy and an inner healing that takes place in us and hopefully in our loved ones. Tonight's focus is that loving conversation can make a difference, using BALM conversations and motivational interviewing to prevent and help your loved one recover from overdose. First, I'd like to start with the agenda for the evening. We're starting with an introduction to the ideas underlying our premise that conversations can help you help your loved one. And then Mike and I, that's this slideshow. Then Mike and I will have a conversation about the BALM and the motivational interviewing. When we're complete, Lori Bolin will share her story of how BALM helped her restore healthy love and connection in her family before and after overdose. And then Kathy Tracy will share her story of losing her beloved son to overdose and the path she has chosen to heal and to help other families help their loved ones to live. Here are some of the terms we'll use this evening. Love, peace, connection, rapport, tone, relationship, loving path. These words are part of the lifeblood of our program. And we share them with you and invite you to embrace these ideas into your heart. This is one of my favorite childhood quotes. In choosing a path, ask yourself, does this path have a heart? If it does, the path is good. If it doesn't, it is of no use. We call BALM the loving path to family recovery because it is grounded in peace and it embodies love and connection. And I'd like to start by just giving you a very brief overview of the BALM conversation. We're doing like just little kind of droplets of what we do every day with families in our classes, in our workshops, not to try to sell you on it, but to give you the overview that you need to understand what we'll be sharing tonight. And why we think that these conversations and this way of being that we teach really does provide a possibility for families that we see happening every day. So a BALM conversation is grounded in peace, objectivity, and awareness. These are the precursors of having the conversation. It starts with love. You state the facts. You share your concerns with your loved one without any judgment. A BALM conversation includes deep listening and loving honesty, and it ends with love. The first step of our 7 steps to be a loving mirror, and the 7 steps are the core of the BALM program. The first step is be the peace you wish to see in the world. So I ask you, what is your daily peace practice? We've found it in the BALM critical to have one. As the Dalai Lama says, be kind whenever possible, and it's always possible. In a BALM conversation, you speak heart to heart, and your conversation goes under the radar of your loved one's denial so that they hear your heart speaking to them. And their hijacked brain, which is saying, no, 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 misses it, doesn't even catch it. That's the idea of a BALM conversation, heart to heart, under the radar of denial. And this is seen through your loving tone, the peace underlying your words, the facts shared in a conversational way, your lack of judgment or advice giving, and your persistent, repeated, loving approach. If our loved ones got it the first time, there would be no need for BALM, no need for us to sit here. If we as family members got it the first time, we also wouldn't need extensive programs and tools. Love conquers all. There's often a lot of effort, however, in the process. And your only responsibility to another adult human being is to be a loving person. I love this quote. See what you think of it. Water drops pierce stone. Rope saws cut wood. BALM conversations are like a drip, 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 from your heart to theirs. Water drops pierce stone. Rope saws cut wood. And now let's look at motivational interviewing. Motivational interviewing, for years, thought to just be tools and techniques, amazing tools and techniques, but nonetheless, just tools and techniques. I had a conversation with the author of Motivational Interviewing, the co-author, William Miller, a few years back when I was writing my book. And he shared his great disappointment that so many people didn't get it, that the tools are the icing on the cake. The spirit of motivational interviewing is what makes it such a powerful, effective tool. It's grounded in love, like the BALM. It begins with rapport building. In motivational interviewing, we ask questions to help the loved one find their true path. And there's a very specific way we teach you to do this. We invite the loved one to speak their truth without being judged or scorned. We utilize tools that bring out more information from the loved one to help them find their path. And we end with rapport building. Motivational interviewing and BALM conversations, a beautiful combination. You use motivational interviewing to help your loved one find their way, not yours. And I like this quote, life is a mountain. Your goal is to find your path, not to reach the top. What if we could all see our loved ones as being on a journey to find their path and not be pressuring them to get where we think they ought to go, but simply to be there in conversation with them? And what if depression is in fact a form of grief for our own lives not being as they should? What if it's a form of grief for the connections we have lost yet still need, whether our loved ones are using or in recovery? That connection is vital. It's vital for them and it's vital for us. And we can learn a new way of relating that reduces the pain of interaction when they're doing the wrong thing and allows for love and connection to be the primary feeling shared, regardless of what their lives look like on the outside. Peace is the way. Love is the path. Connection is the key. And when Johann Hari came out with his line, the opposite of addiction is not sobriety, it's human connection. I got calls from all over the world from BALMers. Other people are saying this too. The BALM is about love and connection. And people all over the world are catching it, are getting it. And we're thrilled about that. And our hope is that you will use what you learned here tonight to begin or deepen your path to connection with those you love as you together walk the loving path to family recovery.
So now I will give you Bev and Michael, and they will be asking questions to give you information about motivational interviewing and about the BALM and how we interconnect these two together. So Bev and Michael, we're ready.
Mike, you want to start with the yellow ones?
Yes.
You can just ask one and I can ask one, however we feel like.
Okay.
Okay.
Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
I just want to make sure.
Yes.
So let's just start, Bev, with why did you choose this topic of the power of conversation in helping to prevent or recover from overdose?
So I know it's a bold statement that conversation has the power to change lives. We've been doing this BALM thing now for a long time, I guess, 10 or 12 years. And what we've noticed is that families that apply it fully in all aspects of their life find that often, well, the first thing that happens is that they feel better. It's this sense of relief of being able to be authentic and at peace in their lives. And then even while their loved one is still caught up in the SUD or whatever the problem is, they're somehow curious. What's going on there? You're different. And that curiosity slowly changes often to an interest in learning more. I never would have imagined, Mike, 10 years ago that we'd have so many families where the parents and the loved one or the wife and the husband loved one, or vice versa, the husband and the wife loved one, that they'd all be having a BALM coach and that they'd be working together on their recovery. We were just doing this for families. We had no idea how deeply we would reach and how far we'd help them go. And it all starts with the power of peace coupled with the power of conversation. So last year we talked about methadone and medically assisted treatment, and this year we brought it home. What actually happened was I was looking for a keynote, and one of the keynotes that I was interested in had actually done a research study on the power of crucial conversations. And I thought, crucial conversations, my God, that's what we do. Crucial Conversations is a book. It's a specific kind of, but our conversations, ask any BALM family member. These conversations are crucial to our lives, our children's lives, our spouses' lives, our parents' lives. And often they make a difference. The other thing was, I think it was in one of our interviews of Lori, she shared how, and she's written about this as well, how BALM conversations actually, after her daughter's overdose, actually shifted things. And she's going to talk about that tonight. And I started putting it together and talking to other families and realized we're onto something here. We know we have been for many years, but we're being researched now by the University of Central Florida. And as the world grows more curious, we want to be able to share the miracle of what's happening in the BALM rooms and homes around the world.
Great, thanks.
Yeah.
So,
oh,
go ahead.
So, we talked about how BALM's conversations start with being grounded in peace and how important a loving tone is. Could you talk about being the peace and using a loving tone and why these are so important in a conversation? And how can that be important when a loved one is in danger of dying?
So I can speak from an addiction recovery point of view with this question, in that one of the main reasons that those with SUDs, substance use disorder, have issues with addictions is they've lost that sense of peace. And that is crucial in managing difficult feelings. And so when difficult feelings get very, very intense, that can start to control a person's behavior who has an SUD problem. Because they don't like feeling or managing these difficult feelings without going to something like an addiction. And so the peace helps them to manage this. And that is what, in my opinion, is what recovery is really all about. What are they recovering? This sense of inner peace that exists in every human being. And so the analogy that I sometimes use is that, like a tuning fork, when you hit a tuning fork and it reverberates its note, if you put it next to another tuning fork, that can cause its own reverberation to happen as well. And so when you be the peace, your very energetic presence can have an impact. And then when you speak the words of the BALM, what comes out of that peace is love. And actually, it's at the 7 steps, what we say is, at your core, you are this peace and love. And here's a little secret that maybe many of us who practice the BALM have had this transformational shift maybe already know, is the peace and the love are the same thing. And so when we feel this in our hearts, it informs the words, the scripts that we use, and the interactions that we have. And our loved one feels that love.
Yeah. That reminds me of how it came about that the 7 steps were written. I was having very good results with families because I would sit with them and write their scripts and they would go out and do them. And Mike was in the first coach training class and they said, "We're not getting these results. What are you doing?" And I went home and meditated on it and realized that it was because I had been meditating for several years. And when I go into that deep meditation or mindfulness or peaceful contemplation, put your words in, don't use mine, that what would happen is that I was able to observe my thoughts more objectively. All of a sudden I saw all these thoughts and they weren't, they were just there. Oh, I'm upset about this. Look at that. Wow, that's interesting. And then I was objective about that. And then when I opened my eyes, I was objective about the people around me and the behaviors they were exhibiting. And none of it was touching me as much as it was. And then I noticed that I became aware of my emotions in an objective, non-judgmental way. And these 3 things, be the peace, mindfulness, be the peace you wish to see in the world, becoming more objectively able to watch my thoughts, observe the world around you objectively, and the objective observation of my emotions Become aware of your inner emotional landscape without judgment. That's step 3. These 3 ideas became the first 3 steps because what I noticed over the years, it was on the basis of my own peace, objectivity, and inner awareness that the scripts for the other families that I was working with just flowed from me out of, I don't know where, but I just, and what we found as families started to take the BALM and have their own coaches, in the beginning, coaches are working with their families to write the scripts, writing them for them, writing them with them. And after a while, families are really working on developing their inner peace and moving their lives forward using the 7 steps, learning the tools of steps 4 through 7. After a while, they're able to write their own scripts. They don't need us forever. And it was quite a phenomenon. And on that basis, I was able to translate what was happening with my clients into 7 steps that could be shared. And those of you who've been around for a while probably heard this story, but it's one of my favorites. Mike looked at the 7 steps and he goes, "My God, you've written a transformation process here." And the hair went up on the back of my arm. And I said, "Yeah, I guess that's what this is." And indeed it is. The 7 steps are transformative from the inside out, and they are the core. And the conversation is the culmination of practicing and living the first 5 steps. Would you agree with that, Mike?
Yes, and I wanted to work a little bit off of what you said there. I think you used the word perspective, or seeing your thoughts and feelings, and that's what the first 3 steps of the 7 steps does. Is it when you are at the ground level with your thoughts and feelings, it can feel like, well, sort of like the weather patterns that we have been experiencing in our country. You feel like you're at the ground level at it, and it's all fast and furious and coming at you. But when you work the first 3 steps, you gain this perspective. You can rise, not physically, but emotionally rise above it and be able to see it from this place of peace. Allows your thoughts and feelings to be there, and everything is okay from that perspective. And from that place, that's where these scripts can come out, these interactions can come out that are not reacting to the thoughts and feelings. They're coming from this place of peace, this place of love, that working the first 3 steps can give you that distance, that perspective.
And we invite you to be patient with yourselves. Just this week, a couple of families had BALM conversations and said, "Oh, I messed this up. Oh, I got upset here." We're human beings. I don't think there's one person on this panel who hasn't messed things up, quote unquote. I'm still learning. I'm still growing. And I hope you are too. It's a process. It's a process. Being immersed in the process is what allows us to get better and better at it.
So for those of us listening right now, what do you recommend that BALM families learn first? Motivational interviewing, BALM conversations?
That's a great question. A few years back, maybe 5 years ago, I don't remember, Mike and I were having a supervision together and talking about how families were taking to motivational interviewing. And one of the things that Mike was noticing is that family members were coming in, seeing motivational interviewing and grabbing it and going, this is going to make him get sober. This is the thing that's going to get my kid into recovery. I'm so excited. And really what they were looking at, and no offense to anybody who's still seeing it that way, it was a form of manipulation or coercion, a new one that they had just found, and they called it motivational interviewing. That's not motivational interviewing. We have found that families do best. They learn about motivational interviewing early on in the program, but soon after they become immersed in the 7 steps, the 7 steps are where you start in terms of getting ready for conversation. Motivational interviewing will come. It will be something you will be able to do and be amazed at, and life-changing, and a lot of different parts of your life. But the thing about the BALM conversation is it's very simple. First of all, it starts with the piece. So as soon as you get to principle 3, you're seeing the importance of mindfulness in the program. And once you get to step 1, be the peace, you're starting to get your practice going, whatever it is, prayer, meditation, whatever it is that really brings you to a deep level of quiet within. And for some people, not wanting it to have any religious connotation, it's spiritual, not religious, but not wanting that, only wanting peace without confusing it with their own religion, which we really respect. We invite you to use the breath. We invite everybody to use the breath. Our most popular calming tool is 4-4-8, which we were doing at the beginning, where you breathe into the count of 4, you hold it to the count of 4, you breathe out to the count of 8. And you can do this for 5 minutes, morning, afternoon, evening, and anytime something upsets you, go right into 4-4-8. If you practice 4-4-8 on a regular basis, eventually it will be your default. You'll get upset, 4-4-8, and you'll calm down much more quickly. We've actually found hundreds, if not thousands, of families telling us that this alone is their peace tool. So you'll find the one that works for you. But the thing about it is, without the peace and the love, neither motivational interviewing nor BALM conversations ring true. But the construct of the BALM conversation is simpler, and it's very much designed to just hold up a mirror to the other person lovingly, without judgment. So we recommend parents start there and then move into learning the more advanced motivational interviewing. Once you understand on the deepest level that there is no manipulation possible in this, if you want true recovery in your own. The other thing that I wanted to say about conversation, you know, when you have a BALM conversation, there's a sense that you're going to change them. If you're having that sense, drop it. This is a combination of your opportunity to vent without being offensive. So you get to say, these are the things I'm seeing. It's a non-offensive vent, just the facts. I love you. I'm seeing this. Here are my concerns. And I love you so much. And what would you like for breakfast today? Or whatever meal it is, or whatever you're going to do. But the point is that it's a vent, it's a share, and it's really, it's a loving way of connecting without accusation. I saw this. And after a while, you learn how to do it so that it's spontaneous. In the beginning, we teach you how to prepare for it, how to script it, how to practice it, how to have the conversation full blown. And then after a while, you'll just go right into it. You'll see something. Oh my. I'm noticing your eyes are slits. Notice I'm breathing, so I'm not having a judgment about that. I'm telling you all that. But there are things that you will see that you'll be able to say without under the radar of your loved one's denial, right to their heart, your heart. Someone told me recently, they said to their loved one, I'm noticing that when you engage in your blank behavior, I won't mention which addiction it is, that you behave like this, this, and this. And the loved one looked at them and said, yeah, and walked out the door. That's fine. Sometimes your loved one may freak out on you. That's fine. Your job isn't their response, but your job is to make sure that your tone, your peace are completely intact. It may sound easy on this call. It takes education and practice. That was a long answer for a short question. Mike,
Well, I just wanted to conclude that with what I realize that we're doing is that we're modeling recovery for our loved ones.
Yes, Mike, talk about that whole thing you shared on that tiny little video about what parents are now and husbands and wives are now able to do for their loved ones because of going through this program.
Well, yeah, simply put, that we're modeling recovery for our loved ones, meaning what does a recovering person look like, especially when they're going through stress and adversity and difficult feelings, you know? So when a person's working a recovery program and they're going through these kinds of things, it's not that they never have a bad day. It's not that life stops giving them problems. And it's not that difficult emotions come up. But what we're showing them by working the BALM program in all facets to create this inner transformation that comes out in our conversation is what a recovering person does, that we are handling it or managing it from a different perspective, from this perspective of peace. And we don't have to go back to that old behavior anymore. And so for family members, the old behaviors might have been yelling, screaming, getting tense, trying to control. But for a person with an addiction issue, that old behavior would be using. And so we're showing them life can go on as it is and as it goes in its ups and downs, but we don't have to go back to that kind of interaction, that way of being anymore. And that's what we're doing for them, is helping them to be in a recovery-oriented environment. We become one of the people, like I've said this before, what is the kind of person you would like to hang around? You would like your loved one to hang around in recovery. When you think about your son with the issue, your daughter with the issue, your husband, your brother, in their recovery, what kind of person would you like them to socialize with and hang around? A person in recovery. But one of the problems is when a person's either in denial or in early recovery, they don't want to hang around these people, or they're hesitant to, they're reluctant to. They're hard time following through on that. And this is where we say families can make all the difference, because families have this special connection with your loved one, that they will continue to contact you and interact with you even when things are difficult. So what if one of the people in recovery that you would like them to hang around was you? And in a way, that's what the BALM has the effect, or helps us to be. It helps us to model for them, this is what recovery looks like.
Isn't that a cheer? This is what recovery looks like. I think that's a famous cheer, right? Lori, am I right?
I was sort of swinging in my chair, like, you know, it has a little kind of vibe to it, yes.
Michael's example.
This is what recovery looks like, yes.
Yes, and oh my gosh, Michael, the first time you shared it in that way, it was like a light bulb. Yes, that's what we're doing. We're empowering families to be recovering people, and they become the light that their kid wants to be near. Now, we're not saying you're God in your child's life, or that we're expressing that as a goal, but rather that you are someone they admire again, and someone that they're able to relate to. This is a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. Thank you, Michael. for putting it in those words. And we're out of time almost. Is there maybe one? Let's see if there's one left. Hey, Mike, we have 5 minutes left for our segment. You know, ER doctors and nurses are often schooled in the basics of motivational interviewing. Why and how can having a motivational interviewing conversation help a person after an overdose? And how can a family member's understanding and skill help with the process in the hospital or going home?
Yeah, they have trained medical professionals in these kinds of environments, in ERs and hospitals and detox centers, on short motivational interviewing type conversations, because they found that, one, it helps the client to relax, trust the professional, maintain a rapport just by their very presence and being. And then two, by asking open-ended questions and using some of the tools of motivational interviewing, it starts to spur on personal introspection, self-efficacy on what do I feel is the problem in my life right now, and what specifically am I concerned about, and where do I need to go for help? So instead of someone telling you, here's what your problem is, here's what you need to do, which honestly, sometimes people who have addiction issues, they've been talked at for years. And so motivational interviewing sort of turns that sense of introspection and motivation to be better on them. What concerns you about what's happening? What do you think is the best way to, what's the best next step to do considering your situation? So they begin to think for themselves. And this can be a very short 5-minute, 8-minute conversation that they report have yielded some pretty positive results in a short period of time, just to get that sort of what we do at the BALM and what we teach at the BALM, having that attitudinal shift.
Yes.
From this place of peace.
We want you to know about this because not every hospital in ER has this, but you can be that person for your loved one. We talk about treating a loved one with dignity and respect. These tools, the BALM conversation, motivational interviewing, and the many other tools, these are the ultimate tools for dignity and respect. Your loved one is on a journey. No control over it. We don't have that kind of control, but we can walk it with them and we can love them through it. Don't know the outcome, but we can learn ways to be their best chance. Thank you so much for letting Mike and I be here with you this evening. Michael, as always, thank you.
Bev, can I invite you to explain one more thing before we switch?
Sure.
The Narcan, would you explain it?
Oh, absolutely. One of the most important things we want you to remember and do. And in our last IOAD, we did have a whole lesson on how to use Narcan. You can go in there. That's free to everybody. It's the 2020 IOAD and get the Narcan lesson. If you're in the BALM, you can also go into, I think, steps 7 and 8, maybe, and there are Narcan lessons. You could ask Jericho, we'll help you find those if you don't know where they are. We suggest you carry Narcan, which is what do we call it? It'll stop the overdose or reverse the overdose, that you get trained in how to use it, that you have it in your home, you get your loved one trained so they can use it with a friend if needed, and to always have 2 doses of Narcan available because one might not be enough, especially now with the strength of fentanyl. So that's on the side of what you can do that's practical, that's important to reverse an overdose. And the other thing is to master those BALM 7 steps so you're ready to share the facts with your loved one in a peaceful, loving way before a full-blown crisis occurs or after one has happened. Should we all be so fortunate that they survive it. Learn motivational interviewing in order to be with your loved one as a trusted recovery friend, able to hear them, to help them go deeper into their own recovery and their own truth, and learn the 12 principles of BALM so that you understand addiction, recovery, and your own process, as this truly is a dual approach to recovery. Get your life back and help your loved one get theirs back. Thank you, Marissa, for that reminder. Important.